everybody. Welcome to our Wednesday live. This is Level Up Academy community. Thank you so much for being here. And today we're going to talk about a topic that is always going to be a hot topic, no matter if it's pre COVID, during COVID, especially during COVID, and now after COVID. It is called belonging. And the reason that we are actually talking about this, it's because of my dear sister Susanna, right? And to be honest with you, she's your cheerleader, whether you want to admit it or not. She's your cheerleader. She's mine in terms of belonging and the importance of belonging and supporting your mental health. When you feel rejected by all your friends or so called friends, when you feel rejected by your community, when you feel rejected by your family, and you're already going through a lot in your life, your sense of belonging is at negative, right? And when you feel that constant rejection, I'm not telling you that this is the only reason why, but the root cause of our mental issues sometimes is that feeling of rejection or abandonment or not good enough, right? Some, I dare say, imposter syndrome, right? Some people are like, I don't believe in it. You might not believe in it, but some people who are going through it is going through it. You might not believe in it because you have not experienced it, or maybe you have experienced it, but you're not savvy to what that experience is all about. So, today we're going to talk a lot about the critical role of belonging in supporting your mental health because this is also Domestic Violence Month. This is Filipino Heritage Month, Hispanic Month. There's a lot of going on in this month. But at the end of the day, those are boxes that we belong. But do we really belong? Right? So, that is the question today. We're going to talk a little bit more. And we're actually going to talk a lot about our upcoming anthology and why it's about belonging. All right. So, this is my dear sister Susanna. This is our anthology called Against the Grain, Finding Belonging in a World of Resistance. So, let's go ahead and welcome my dear sister. Now, let me see if I have a drum roll on this one. Okay. I really want those drum rolls. Dang it. I think I do. There it is. Get a long drum roll. I'm hoping. That
Oh,
annoying drum roll that doesn't just go anywhere. I love it. I love
you're
that.
going all out on the drum roll today.
That's right. I have to make it up for all the days that I didn't have any drum rolls. Okay, I mean for real. So let's talk about the critical role of belonging in supporting your mental health, and let's go deep and let us talk about vulnerability here. Why is it important to you to feel like you belong?
When so we go through life and we really weren't created to be isolated, alone. Um, we're supposed to have a community. We're supposed to have some place where we are safe and we can be, um, you can say authentic self. You can say who you are at your core. I also love putting it more of who you were created to be, because we all have that. It's like people try to tell us what we are, but it's who we were created to
All
be.
have that. It's
And
like
so finding that place that we belong, it removes a whole lot of stress off of who we are. It when you're trying to fit in, and I've gotten to the point where I talk about these two because they're really opposite. If you're trying to fit in, you're trying to contort yourself into a box. You're trying to make yourself something that you're not at your core because you think that's the group you want to be with. You think that's where you belong when something deep down knows it's not. And so you wear a mask to fit in, which means you're covering yourself, which means you're not being yourself. And I've seen studies, surveys on this as well between JobSage and Deloitte over the last couple of years, where 3 out of 5 of us, over 60% of us, walk into a work environment and we wear a mask. We're hiding something about ourselves. And the number one effect in those that they talk about is it affects the mental health. It affects our well-being.
I love those statistics because we're talking about it all the time, and people are like, why do you guys talk about it all the time? It's because just because people are still not getting it, right? They see belonging as like, yeah, okay, fine, I belong in this group. I'm happy with this group. Are you really, truly happy? Right? We've seen groups that, out of spite, they take people from that one group, they mold them to create a story about another group. And then at the end of the day, they found out themselves that whoever was telling them crap about the other group is actually the bad one, right? I just have
Right.
proof today about that. And the
I saw
reason
that.
that, yeah, and I show empathy in people because you don't know what you don't know. And this is the third person now that actually within a month, right? There is
Mhm.
definitely a bad apple. I wouldn't dare call a bad person. I don't think this person is a bad person. I think
No.
that she has a lot of trauma. I still pray for her. But she will never find, and it's really sad, she will never truly find true friendship. She will never really find true care about being a friend. And I think the reason for that it's that we want. But once you don't give and you just want and want, people get tired of that,
Mhm.
right? And so I think that's what it is. It's like I'm trying to like have a psychology thought about behind that and human nature and human behavior is when we give and give and give, there comes a point where we just get sick and tired of giving, right? And I think people have a choice at the end of the day. But at work, I hear people saying, "Oh, these are my family at work." You have to be careful in what you say on that because family, although it can feel like it's family you cannot fire. But with you being at work, that family that you say that that's your family, they can fire you as hot potato. Like, bye, CJ, right? Work is not a place of family. It's more of like you can have friends in there that becomes your family, which is true. I've had that. But at the end of the day, organizations will always put organizations first
Yep.
before anything else because it's run on money, right? Now, we dare say that we would love an organization who's run by people, money second. We need money. We do know that. But do we need to run our organizations where we're so uptight that we're stressed constantly? We don't have a sense of belonging. We don't know if our job is there. Do we really want to constantly be there? I mean, that's not where you want to be, but how? So now let's talk about solutions because we do know that it is a strain in our mental and daily capacity when we don't feel like we belong, right? How does emotional support play a role in belonging?
The emotional support is a situation where let's take a step back. When you're in a space that you belong, where you feel that belonging, you feel safe to drop the mask. So you can drop the mask. That means you are being yourself. You're able to share what it is about you that you can have that conversation with others and know that you won't be judged because you're in a space where all of you have that same connection. And the reality is, many times it's going to be a very small group, especially at the core, kind of like what we have, where you can drop that mask. When you're in that space, number one, it means you can be a little bit more vulnerable. You can, when you're starting down the slide, and the way I'll put it, I mean, yes, it's depression, but when you're starting down the slide into the dark valley of the shadow, you can let somebody know that and they won't run away. They're not gonna go, "Oh, this person is just too much, I can't deal with it," and go off. It means they don't belong. It's not the right place. When you get that support, it helps with the mental health. And quite frankly, if you think about an organization, if they had a space where belonging is gonna be at different levels. I mean, that core group, that's who you can open up to with anything. But even just being in a space where you can drop the mask, be yourself, that doesn't mean that you tell everybody everything. It just means you're not worried about judgment, about prejudice, about what people are going to think if they find out something about you. And you can turn around and somebody walks up to you and says, "I hear this about you." You don't have to panic. You can just say, whether it's true or not, it's really none of your business. I don't have to tell you that, kind of deal. For an organization, what they're going to find is when we walk into an organization with a mask on, we are not safe. And that means if we don't feel safe in that organization, we're likely going to be looking for other places to go where we could be safe. And on a business case, companies are going to spend anywhere from 1.5 to 2 or 3 times as much somebody's cost to the company for salary, benefits, and everything. That cost, they're going to have to pay all that to replace that person. And that hits the bottom line. Just think of what happens if people feel like they belong, they feel safe, they can drop the masks, they can engage further, they can engage deeper, they can they're willing to share some of the best ideas that they have, all to help the company grow. And if that's growing the bottom line, the company can share it, still do better, and people really are happy there.
I wanted to provide this stats. There's actually two parts to this one.
Uh-huh.
In 2018, a study published by Social Science and Medicine found that individuals with strong social connections are 50% more likely to live longer and have lower rates of depression and anxiety. Then, let's see. On the other hand, a lack of belonging and social isolation increases the risks of depression by up to 40%. Now, you and I know that part of our ADHD is depression and anxiety. It just does. Like we can't change that. It's a makeup, it's a chemical thing that goes in our brain. So what do we do with that? Well, we have to make sure that we have a really good support system. So, the American Psychological Association, which is APA, they're just not for writing people, okay, reported that chronic loneliness is associated with a 30% increase in the risk of premature death, while people who feels a sense of belonging, um, basically and connection have better overall mental health. And this is why studies after study shows out there. I'm going to give you another one. Okay. This one is a study in 2020. This is pretty much, I don't know if the 2020 study was during COVID or after COVID, but a study in 2020 by Cigna. Cigna is an insurance company, by the way. So they see a lot of people going to the doctors. Okay. That 61% of American report feeling lonely, and loneliness has the same impact on mortality as smoking 15 cigarettes, right? This one right here. This is what I'm talking about. 15 cigarettes a day showing a profound impact on both mental and physical health. Think about that, guys. You don't smoke. You don't smoke. You don't smoke. Okay, well, guess what? If you're lonely right now, 15 cigarettes a day. Now, smart people out there, tell me how many people are in the United States? Is it 350 million people still? I don't remember.
Something like,
Yeah, but think about that. Like almost 200 million people, almost 200 million people right now are feeling lonely.
mhm.
That's a lot. That's a lot, right? Think about that. Mike is making fun of my characters. You're like, it's too much characters. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a study. What am I going to do with it? Here's another thing. In 2019, surveyed by American College Health Association revealed that almost 79% of students who reported not feeling a sense of belonging experienced overwhelming anxiety compared to 41% of students, right, who literally connected to their school communities. That's why schools are having communities, having sororities, having all of these other things. It's because why? We don't want them to be lonely. They're already away from their families. They're
Right.
already away from all their friends whom they know, right? So it's kind of, it's kind of sad. Now, it's not kind of sad. It is sad. Now, students with a strong sense of belonging at school were also found to have a 34% lower risk of depression, according to a 2020 Centers of Disease report. CDC literally said that, right? I mean, I could go on for kids. Like, here's another stats. A Journal of Youth and Adolescence published a study in 2019 showing that adolescents with a strong sense of belonging were 62% less likely to report suicidal thoughts. Can we not relate that and bridge the gap with school shootings with our kids? Indicating that social connectedness plays a crucial role in suicide prevention. That's why Susanna always tell you, please check in with your friends and family. Please, if you haven't seen them. Like I haven't seen Martha Lobo, so I texted like, "Hey, are you okay? Are you still breathing?" Right? I haven't met her, but I've known her. I've seen her on the circle and the circuit, and all of a sudden she disappeared. I'm like, okay, I gotta check in, make sure you're okay, right? I do care. I do care. And when I don't see you and you're on my peripheral, I will check up on you, right? You got to check up on people. And even if you had bad taste with these people or you had a bad interaction with them, they're still people, right? You still need to check up at least just to say hello. You don't need to be best friends. The Journal of Youth Adolescence, right, in published in 2019, showing that strong sense of less likely suicidal thoughts. Think about this. I want to post this because I want you to think about all the school shootings that we have in America. There is a gap. Sense of belonging is very important. It's not something we just talk about for the sake of talking about it.
No.
Because there are so many studies. I mean, I'm just showing you some of these studies here. I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to give you one last study. I'm full of studies today. I'm on professor mode. And quite honestly, I don't feel good today.
We
Uh,
both know.
yeah, it's like it's weird in that ADHD moment of like depression business. I don't know what it is, but it's just something in the air. But here, a 2020 report by BetterUp found that employees who feel a sense of belonging are 50% more productive,
Mhm.
75% likely less likely to leave their jobs, and experience a 56% reduction in sick days due to mental health. I know it's like, oh, it looks like the health somewhere else. Sister, I've talked a lot about stats here. What are your thoughts?
Well, and especially with that last one, that's what I look at to talk to businesses, because I know there's a lot of business who think they have a space of belonging where everybody feels like it's home. They want that. But right there, that piece, that stat that you had shows what it really means to belong. and people really aren't. Because when I look at some of the other stats, like when I'll go back to the JobSage one, that was April of 22, and one of the stats they provide is how much energy are employees expending to hide their persona at work. And you got to figure this is going to be the same case. This is probably very similar in school, in just society and social life everywhere, but within the workplace, none and a little, that's only 23%. A lot, 25% are expending a lot of energy to hide their persona, to put that mask on. And 47% are spending some amount of energy. It's not saying between some and little, you don't know what it is, but quite frankly, that is 70, 47, 67, 72% are talking about how much energy they're spending. You take that 72% and you take what you just gave in terms of, let me try and find your stat again, the 20. So you've got 50% are more productive in that study. And I'm saying that another one showing that 72% are spending some or a lot of energy to hide themselves. You think there's a correlation there between those two?
Yeah. And it's not that like most people goes, "Oh, you hide yourself because of your gender preference or whatever." No, it's a lot of preference. It's not
Oh,
just we're not talking about belonging based on gender or sexual orientation or anything. We're just talking about you belonging, like even having ADHD. Who wants to talk about that at work? When
mhm.
everybody already know that people with ADHD can't finish work. That's the stereotype,
Well,
right?
let me give you something to follow up with that.
Crazy.
Because with JobSage, um, it's the top of this particular list is political views. Like well over 37% are hiding political views. Right behind it is information about the family, a mental health condition, relationship status, religion, sexual orientation, aspect of appearance, gender identity, ethnicity, a disability. Even a quarter of us are hiding a disability. And if you think about this, the mental health conditions and disability, that could, somebody might think mental health but not disability, yet they can be the same. So those two alone, that's 50% of the people.
Yeah. Thank
If
you so
they're
much.
totally separate.
We just want to take a time, 1,600 people watching us live, but the hounds are the ones who are always busy on our messages. So we appreciate you so much, hounds. And Mike, she, look at his comment. Oh
I
my God, I
know.
just got mail. Who is watching this from
Where's
1999? Yeah, I
where's
got
he
mail.
been?
I think it's really funny that I have so when I every time I get mail, it will say you've got mail because I like the AOL version of I used to have a rap song, but when I went to the DMV, everyone gave me a really bad look. And so I just got AOL instead. So then I have really good, conversation about, wow, do you remember AOL? And so that's what happens. Um, yeah, so sense of belonging. So here's another thing. Let's bring it to LinkedIn and communities, right? There's so many communities out there that you want to belong. One of our communities is Level Up, the other one is HOB, but we're sister companies. We're really um, we feed off of each other, right? Because that's what we want to do is to create collaboration. But just because you are in our community, I would love to actually know for the people who are here like Jackie O and Lewis and Matt and all of everyone, what is your definition of belonging?
Mm-hmm.
Because we have so many definitions of belonging. I want to talk about what is your definition of belonging? What does that look like to you? Let's talk about that with us and we start with us, right? Sister, what does belonging means to you?
Belonging means you don't have to wear that mask. You are able to walk into a place as your authentic self, and also that you know that you don't have to tell people what it is that you're hiding, that you were hiding. Once you drop the mask, you be yourself, you're accepted for yourself, you're not being judged, and you are safe to say as little about everything as you want. There are points where you still have to think about the space, and there's some things you still can't really talk about in certain spaces, especially in an organization. You just have to be you have to understand that fine line, because we've run across this too. There can be a fine line of going too far, but the thing is, if you are yourself, you can still drop the mask and just don't think that everybody is then going to listen to you and let you spew whatever. It's like, we still have boundaries, but we don't have to wear the mask. I know it's a
Yeah.
fine line, but it's also an important one, especially in the workplace,
Yeah. In even in our communities, right?
in our
Like
communities too.
balance of business community. Let's take all that word, each and every single word. Hounds of business community. We don't care. We don't control your conversations, personal conversations outside of HOB. However, if you are talking to a fellow HOB community member, please keep the conversation business, right? Like, when you give someone a mile and they take 2 miles, don't take it to 2 miles conversation. Make sure that the conversation, you really know that person and you're actually really okay with this conversation where it leads to be. I've seen conversations that go south and gets haywired. And then all of a sudden, we get involved and we're like, well, what do you want me to do about this? Like, this is your personal conversation. I can't do nothing. Here's my suggestion, whether it's HOB or in any community. The moment you don't feel comfortable with that conversation, please say no.
Mhm.
Don't worry about what other person's going to do. They're going to do this, that. That's their problem. You're getting uncomfortable. Say no. Don't him and ha. Don't say whatever words. Just say, I am getting uncomfortable with this conversation. Please stop. Literally in capital letters. You can put a stop emoji, an X, a circle, a heart that's breaking, whatever emoji. Please say the word. Please stop. I am uncomfortable. Make it clear. Don't skirt around it. And women, we have a tendency to not hurt people's feelings. So
Mhm.
we skirt around it. And I used to be like that, but I found that it becomes very disrespectful, and then it goes to the next level where now I'm really pissed off and you're getting on my nerves. But then I reflect. I'm like, CJ, nowhere in here you said stop. Nowhere in here you said stop. And now you're mad, like as if they can actually read your mind. They can't. So I took accountability for my own actions. And I'm telling you, as women, we feel so empowered to nurture people, but you're not nurturing and respecting yourself. So if you're uncomfortable with that situation, don't come to me before you say no. Say, please stop. And they're like, CJ, I said stop. Here's the proof. I said stop and they didn't stop. And I'll go after that person, whoever it is, male or female. But make sure that you say that words. Please stop.
That's
What
another
say
part of belonging.
what say you, sister?
That is another aspect of belonging. Is It's not only that you can drop the mask, it's you are safe to say, we need to stop this conversation. I can't go any farther with this. You have crossed a border. You've crossed a boundary that I cannot accept being crossed. You want to stay friends, then you will not cross this boundary ever again. And depending on what it is, it might even be a case of, look, I care for you, but what you just said, I can't
Uncalled
deal with
for.
it. You got to stop and we're just going to agree to disagree. And while I will care for you, we have to separate.
Yeah.
Part of belonging. You're safe to say it.
Yeah. Here's another thing that I want to take it further. If you don't give the other person a chance, because after that conversation, it's going to feel weird in both parties. And usually friendship falls apart after that. I think you guys should forgive each other. I think that you can distance yourself, especially if it feels icky, but have your heart open that you need to take accountability for that conversation and make sure that you have your heart open that it takes two to make things happen. And you let it happen by not saying the right things, also, right?
Mhm.
So if a person is willing to say, hey, I still want to be friends, would you be okay with it? Then you need to do the rules of engagement. For me, I think everybody knows that if you cross certain boundaries with me, I'll call you out. I don't care if it's publicly, privately, I will call you out. I respect myself, so I expect you to respect myself. When it comes to business, yes, we're going to talk about it. When it comes to dating and all this, even if I was like single, I would never date anyone in a professional environment like that. That's just not how I roll. And secondly, hitting on people on LinkedIn feels dirty. It's not tender. Like, stop. You know what I mean? Like, just stop. So that's how I feel. Now, I want to, before we switch to our book, because I want to do the other half of the 30 minutes that we have, I want to actually acknowledge Jackie. Work is not a place for politics stuff or really anything that isn't work related. It is a delicate balance with convos at work. I 1,000% agree.
I love
And
that.
I also realize that I am too much for most people. So now I learn. Usually, I feel like I'm normal, but apparently I am abnormal. So I tend to overshare what I do because I'm excited and I'm proud of what I do. But it comes with a cost because I get maybe 80% of the room looks at me all cockeyed, like, what you do is impossible. There's no way, right? And I used to say I can prove it, but now if you don't believe it, I don't really care. It doesn't matter to me. But instead of going to that conversation, I back up and said, stop oversharing, share what's necessary for that conversation. They will find out if they really want to get to know you, they'll find out who you are and what you do. If they really are interested. So if I'm having a conversation about a book publishing, I'm just going to talk about that book publishing. If I'm having a conversation on marketing, then I'm just going to have the marketing. They're going to get confused though, because in every single room that I can talk on all the rooms. I don't care what it is, IT, health, whatever. They're
Yep.
going to get confused. But I don't have to say anything because I can, right? But it's a choice of that conversation. But I agree 1000%. Do not overshare about yourself. And keep in mind, your title doesn't make you who you are. I respect you more of you as a person, your passion for helping communities and others, than say, I'm a founder, I'm a CEO, I do this. Great. I know a lot of CEOs that don't do crap. Anyway, sister, let's move on to Against the Grain because we are halfway mark. I want to talk about the book and the birthing of this idea.
Let's see. We get the feeling that if people haven't figured out this already, everything we've already talked about is part of how this book came about. That and the three previous books, because the reality is, while we don't duplicate books, we're not in the volume 2, 3, 10, 11, 15, whatever of a title.
Yeah, no.
Like, no, we ain't there. Um, but we can still have a theme. And this was just a natural progression because when I wrote in Rebel, this was what was really fun is when I wrote in Rebel with a Cause, I had a line in there about how belonging goes against the grain. And then you gave me a title idea, and I'm looking at it, and I mean, it's making a lot of sense to me. And then I go back and I take a look and remember we're on a Zoom that one time. I'm like, read page such and such, the first sentence of this paragraph, and you read it, and it's like, oh, that's the title.
Yeah, and what's funny is I created the title, but I didn't realize that you wrote about it, and it's probably subconscious because I write your paper. I read your chapter. I probably do
Right.
write the paper too, but anyway, like I read your chapter. But the thing is, the only reason why I can create that title is because I know you, right?
Mhm.
But I do have to admit, and I used to not admit it, but now I know, like I'm really good at creating titles on chapters.
Oh, you
I'm
are.
really good. It's crazy. Like you just tell me what you're talking about and what your theme is. I'm like, let me think for a moment. And Danielle literally will like verbally explain to people what I'm doing because she does that on the meeting. Oh, CJ's thinking. Yeah, she's thinking right now. Yep. Now it's gonna come out in like 5 seconds. Like literally, she's saying it word for word.
But see, I've seen other people try to do that. Is they try to give you a first sentence or a paragraph or something, and I watch you, and you don't even have to take time. You're like, tell me what you're thinking. You know enough about a person, and there it is. Here it is. This is what I see for you. And sometimes you're like, I see this, 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 and this. Take your pick. It's all yours. Um, and for me, it's still all part of the belonging aspect because you, in many ways, you're bringing people into your own circle at some level, giving them that information and saying, here, run with it. See what you want to do with it.
Yeah. And if you're talking about copyright, I would have an issue because I have given way too many titles and logos to people I can't keep up. Um, but I do it freely because I truly believe that collaboration over competition
Yep.
truly is a message I want to tell. And it's not all about getting paid because God knows I need to get paid more, but I don't. And I like willingly give it to you because I want you to inspire yourself to do something more for yourself. And if you're already doing more right now and you're not getting the results that you want, maybe change the program, the framework, the mindset that you have so you can pivot and change, right? I want to bring everybody's attention here that this link right now that I'm sending you guys is a link where our Against the Grain book is actually is. Okay. This
Mhm.
is where Susanna have all the information. This is where Susanna has the payment and things like that. And if you also want to write in our anthology, but you're not a repeat author in terms of scholarship, that means free, um, please let us know because we would be happy to entertain that. On Sunday, we're going to be talking about this. And one of the Sundays, Susanna's gonna have to run it with herself, by herself, maybe with sister. Because
Unless something manifests and I'm with you.
right, because I might be going to an event for domestic violence for another fellow hounds, by the way. She's local. So that's what we do is we help each other out as many as we can. And again, if you're in the hounds of business, I'm doing a podcast circuit. If a billionaire tells you that he gets Sylvester Stallone and Al Pacino because of his podcast, and that's his funnel system, I guarantee you, if you're going to be starting anything to get those funnels, podcasting is where to go. And if you're at a Hounds of Business community, I have room for free membership. When you go into a meeting with free membership, which we are having one next Monday, by the way, um, there's no recording. Either you show up or you don't. But this one is hands on. You're really going to learn something this Monday um, on how to start your podcast. So
Mhm.
hopefully I'll see you in the forum. But I will not show it publicly where the forum is. It's going to be on, I mean, the link to our Zoom because it's not live stream on the forum. So just DM me or I'll post it on the HOB on what they are. And if you're interested, and I know who you are a little bit, and you followed me a little bit, and you're supporting here our YouTube channel, hit like and subscribe. Then I will get you the free membership link as well. Just message me, okay? Now, sister, what are some of the things that they can write about this book?
So in this book, we've talked about a lot already in terms of the business side. So I'm not going to go that, because they can talk what they dealt with in business. Um, Family is another spot. Because it really is, what is belonging for the author, and how did they find it? That's kind of a lot of it. The full title, Against the Grain: Finding Belonging in a World of Resistance. I'll just take the step back of saying the world resists us because it wants us in little boxes that it can then define us as. And people usually take one aspect of you, dump you in a box, and say, this is what you are, even though you know you don't fit in that box. Yes, technically, that little piece can go in that box, but it's not who you are. So why would you want to be in that box? Why would you want to contort to fit? So the world is resisting who we are when we want to be our authentic selves. We want to embrace the fact that we're neurodiverse, that we're an immigrant, that we are from a different part of the country. Our maybe our English isn't perfect. So what? We want to embrace the fact that we're unique. So the world is resisting us. To find that space of belonging means we're resisting the world. We are resisting going into a box, accepting a label, and finding that community where we are safe, we're not judged, we belong. So topics can include family. That's one that I can talk about. Your family doesn't accept you. They want you to be one way, and you can't do that. Or you've done it for so long. Like for me, I did it for a half century, trying to be that which I knew I wasn't, until I finally resisted everybody else, moved beyond the box, and lived life as who I am.
Because Susanna is born a rebel.
Well, then that's why all these titles just fit. I mean, moving beyond boxes, thriving in life's gray zone. That may have been the first one, but then, or
No.
beyond boundaries, thriving in life's gray zone may have been the first one.
No.
But then move beyond boxes. That's this prequel. Rebel is a sequel, and now we're belonging.
No, here's the thing, guys. I have been thinking about this all morning while I was driving after I dropped off Bella. So, technically, the first chapter of your book, if you want to put it together, is I was born a rebel. I am a rebel with a cause. Because of my rebellion and because of what I have found out about myself, I want to move beyond this box that people told me to do. I'm going against the grain in a world of resistance so that I can what? Go beyond the boundaries and thrive in the life's gray zone. Boom! You see what my thought process are? So here's the thing that we're laughing about, because if you've been in our anthologies every single time, think about it. If you, let's say that some of your anthologies that you're with us, it's scholarship, some that you paid, every single chapter that you are with us, you can take it because we don't own your intellectual property. You own it. We give it to you. We don't control it. You can take it, expand on it, and you have your own book. It's already edited from us. If you actually, we do editing. Susanna and I do editing. So if you have a book and you want to publish it, we can publish it for you. We also do editing for you. The editing for us is going to be a minimum of 100 pages for $1,500 and 2,000 pages for $2,500, right?
200 pages.
200, yeah.
Not 2,000.
No, 200 pages for $2,000. So here's the thing. We give you book covers already for that. including the editing, but we need at least 3 months. Now, if you want marketing, that's a different story, right? But you'll get discounted on everything that you need because we already have an in-house marketing for everything. You want press release, we can do that. We have magazine, we can do that. You want to be on TV? Sure. You want to be on podcast? Sure. We literally have everything. Radio, we have radio too. So we have
And TV.
everything that we in-house for us. But if you're thinking, I really want to write my book, but I don't have any budget, why not start with a scholarship? But here's the thing with a scholarship, we're doing it differently this time. You are going to submit 300 words on the structure of what you're going to talk about within the theme, right? I'm going to give you guys, before we end, ideas that I actually said on Sunday with Danielle on topics that you can explore with writing this book. So you're like, I still don't understand what I could write again about belonging. um, Embracing individuality in a conformist society. So, how are you staying true to yourself when the world pressures you to fit in? Right. Number two is overcoming adversity, turning challenges into a strength. How facing resistance can build resilience and lead to personal growth so that when you're strong enough, you can belong to wherever group that you choose. Number three is redefining success, finding fulfillment on your own terms. How non traditional paths can lead to greater satisfaction and belonging, right? You choose your own belonging, right? If you want to be a toaster today and a toast tomorrow, that's up to you. But the journey that you actually get there and you got you stronger as a person, then you belong to yourself first, then you can choose where you want to be. Number four, building a community of like minded rebels. How to attract and nurture relationships with people who support your unique vision. That is a sense of belonging. Navigating cultural resistance, staying true to your heritage. That's a difficult one for me. Exploring how to maintain cultural identity in spaces that may not fully understand or accept you. I'm not Filipino enough. I'm not Chinese enough. I'm not American enough. What the heck? I am enough. That's what I'm saying. Now, breaking free from limiting beliefs, for those of you who don't think that there are limiting beliefs, there are. How to challenge internal resistance and societal expectations to create a sense of belonging. Number seven, when no means freedom, setting boundaries in a world of pressure. The importance of saying no to people, ideas, or expectations that don't serve your authentic self. That actually helps you with a sense of belonging. Again, guys, you belong to yourself first. Don't give your 100% to yourself when you don't have anything left. When you don't have anything left, you have nothing to stand for. You don't know who you are. That means you're going to be somebody else's, right? When you don't belong to yourself, think about it. If you're going through adversity right now, you went to this group and that group and this group, and then you burn bridges to this group because you thought this group was good for you. I hate to say this, but you don't belong to yourself. You have a lot to work on. If you're so gullible to listen to other people instead of you finding out for yourself, you are what? Still gullible. You don't belong to yourself. Because if you belong to yourself, you would take it upon yourself to get to know the other person first or the other group first. And then at the end, you found out, oh, the other group was bad because you didn't belong to yourself. You're not strong enough to belong to yourself. Keep working at it. The end of the day, you die by yourself, you're born by yourself. You should make decisions for yourself, right? Now, number eight. Man, I went off of the radar there. Finding belonging in the face of social resistance, right? Social norms pushing against you. We've talked about that. Number nine, from misfit to trailblazer, the journey of standing out. Embracing being different can lead to innovative thinking, leadership, and a sense of purpose. We all want to be normal. What the heck is that mean? What is normal? Stop. Whatever makes you happy, so long as you're not hurting anybody, that should be your normal. Number 10, the art of self compassion. Belonging begins within. That is so strong. That's what I keep preaching. You need to belong to yourself first before anybody else, right? Being kind and accepting towards yourself is the first step to finding belonging in the world. All right, I'm going to stop talking. Sister, take it away.
So I like this belonging to yourself because when you don't, the only place that you aren't going to be boxed is when you are yourself, your authentic self, you're who you were created to be, soul-hearted, who you're at your core. When you try to go somewhere else, you may think you belong there, but really what you're doing is trying to fit in. You're putting on the mask, and then you are contorting yourself to crawl into a box, thinking that that's what you have to do to be comfortable, to be in a place with the people that you should be with, when the reality is, if you would step back and look at your why. Why do you want to be with that group? Why do you think that's where you're supposed to be? And if you're honest with yourself, you will realize that they might be that shiny object that everybody wants to be a part of, but they're not yours. That's not where you belong. You belong with this other group, and maybe people look at it and say that's not as shiny, but think of how much you can glow when you're in the right group. It doesn't matter how shiny or not. When you're in the right place,
Yeah.
everybody glows. It is the right place. And then doors start to open.
Yeah. And what I want to highlight, Matt and Mike now wants my hat. I'm gonna put it in silent auction because I need money anyway. So might as well put it in silent auction for sale. You
Okay.
can't buy it anywhere because I had it done. It's actually stitching. It's like embroidered in there. That is so funny. I love what Matt says. I don't think Mike is redneck enough. That's hilarious. And when Matt basically said like the student become the master, I love that as well because the point, honestly, guys, I want everybody to be a good leader. I'm writing
Mhm.
a book right now about Unspoken Circle. It's gonna have Mike in it. It's gonna have Susanna in it. Ooh, the drama. Anyway, it's going to be funny as frick, but at the same time I'm going to have citations on it and case studies about Elon Musk and how lonely it is to be a leader. And honestly, there's a thing with Elon Musk. He's like, he doesn't care what people think of him. um, and when you're resolute, and I watch all the big people that I respect, like Oprah, right? She came from nothing, from dirt to somebody. I have mad respect for people like that. And even, when people are given situations and given the opportunities and they still effed it up, it's like, I hope they learn something, right? Sometimes it costs you your friendship, sometimes it costs a lot of investments, sometimes it is your time that you lost, right? But it's going to cost something, whether it's time or money or friendship or love or pain or family. It's going to cost something. And please don't repeat history in pain, because living in pain and living in constant resentment becomes really bad for your heart, right? And then you wonder why you're lonely. It's a reflection of what you put in. It's like little banks. If you put no money, it's going to be empty. If you put money, it's going to keep growing. But sometimes you need to take some money out because you got to spend it a little bit, right? And then put it back again. It's the same thing with friendship. If you keep pouring into the friendship bucket, and then some of the friends you just need to take out because it's no longer serving you, that is okay. But if you reflect in who are actually my friends who know me and you have none, don't blame everybody else, blame yourself. You did not do internal works yet to get to where you need to be. Don't ask for something you're not willing to do. To be a leader is to be a great follower. You need to listen, you need to watch, and then learn from your mistakes, right? And a sense of belonging is super important, and you all belong here at Level Up for sure, for especially for everybody who's here, for everybody who is actually in YouTube. We do have to go to Mike's thing. So, any last minute thing about the book, sister, that you would like to talk? We're going to talk about it on Sunday again. This
We're
is
gonna
the
talk
first
about it
one,
on Sunday again,
right?
but Sunday is also the first day that we'll have somebody could win a scholarship.
Yeah. Remember, guys, if
So
you're a repeat author, you can't win a scholarship.
yeah, it's It is designed to be focused on getting new people in. So anybody who has written with us, they don't count when it comes to the scholarship, but they do have the $100 discount. So if
If
you
you're a
are a repeat
reader,
author,
mhm,
get a hold of us. We'll tell you what the code is to be able to do that. And then the hounds have a different discount. But again, you have to reach out to us. We're not just throwing it out there for everybody, because we want to make sure it's going to who it's
the right
supposed to
people.
go to.
Yeah. Yeah. So the
If it's
hounds gets 50%, $50, $50
$50.
discounts. The repeat author will get 100. But if you're a
Yep.
hounds and a repeat author, it's not 150, guys. It's one or
No.
the other. Okay. And more
That's
likely it's going to be $100, because that's more for you, if you're a repeat author, period. So let us know.
exactly.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
keep them as low as we can already, because I've seen people that charge 2,
2,500.
3, 5, 10 times as much as what we do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
They don't have in-house marketing as well. So thank you guys so much for being here. We have to run to the other one. YouTube, thank you for staying almost 1,000. We appreciate you. And
Love it.
hopefully we'll see you again this afternoon, because we have a panel interview with
You've
Mike.
got your panel interview, and I've got my show. What is Sandra Boss
Yes,
at
Roth
1
at
today,
1.
Pacific.
Yep. Thank you guys
1
so
the
much.
real time, not Mike's time.
No, Pacific Standard Time. The world revolves around PST, Mike. Despite you think it's EST. Nope. Anyhow, tomorrow I'm actually switching from my TV shows. I'm switching it to some amazing Filipino brothers and sisters coming up to our TV show tomorrow. It's going to be a surprise. I will post it sometime today.
It's gonna
Bye,
be fun.
everybody. See ya.
Bye.
Thank you for being here.
Are you a curious student, eager to learn new skills and make your mark in the world? Or are you a professional seeking to advance your career and unlock your full potential? You need to be equipped with effective soft skills like communication, problem solving, teamwork, and more. The Level Up Academy by Doc Leland bridges the gap between education and employment through transferable skills training. Get the soft skills you need to be more effective at work.